Bonjour les amis, bonjour et bienvenue à Paris. I am in the 14th arrondissement today, in the Montparnasse district. And this is a district, as you probably know, where Parisian cafe life really is on full display. There are many iconic cafes and restaurants in this part. There's one right behind me. And I thought I would take you to my favorite one today. All these cafes were born, let's say, between the end of the 19th century and the 1920s. The one where I am taking you to was opened in 1923 officially, and it remains one of the most iconic cafes and restaurants in this area. The Select is the name. Now, why were those cafes here? Well, those cafes opened here because right during the Belle Époque, which is roughly the time late 19th century, early 20th century, before World War I, a lot of people, a lot of artists used to be in a different part of Paris. Montmartre, Picasso was one of them. But after World War I, it seemed like rents went a little bit up in Montmartre. It wasn't as affordable for starving artists. And so a lot of them seemed to migrate from the north of Paris, from Montmartre, all the way here to Montparnasse. And let me tell you, between the two world wars, this crazy time known as the Roaring Twenties, they came from everywhere, those artists. Some were French, some were Americans, some were Russians, and it was a non-stop partying day and night for several years, in fact. So eventually, the artist community migrated to other sections of Paris. You've all heard of Saint-Germain-des-Prés, iconic cafes like the Floor or the De Magot. But for a while here in Paris, the Select and the other cafes and restaurants were the places to be. I was very fortunate 2 days ago to meet one of the owners and managers of the Select today, a nice couple, they're wonderful, and they told me all sorts of stories about it. The Select has been owned and run by the same family for more than 40 years. And last year, they celebrated the 100th anniversary of the restaurant with a big party. So I'm going to switch the camera around now. I'm going to go inside, if you'd like to follow me, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it. You ready? All right. Here we are. Le Select. Half the letters are showing, and you can see it says American Bar. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. And it's about 5 p.m. now on a Monday, so it's pretty quiet still, not quite apéro time. Some people are going home after work. But you can see that these are the accoutrements of the typical Parisian cafe. The bistro tables, the round bistro tables, the lovely chairs, the rattan chairs. And we are going to talk about the Select and its history. If you're ready to join me, there it is. And as soon as you arrive, of course, lovely ceramic work here in the entrance, Le Select. And you have all sorts of rooms here. It just keeps going. You can always find a nice place. What's really exceptional about the Select is that I would say that 70 to 80% of the clientele is French, and a lot of them are local. And they come here throughout the day. And they meet, they have breakfast, they read the paper, they have a drink at the lovely bar. You can see the countertop here, beautiful bar. And some of them come to work, of course. There's a big room in the back. Big room in the back. And I love those mirrors. I just love how the light reflects in those mirrors. So they can use all the space for at lunchtime, dinner time as well. No, this is more of a brasserie, which means food is served throughout the day. So you can eat at the Select, and until pretty late at night, in fact. They will serve food until 1:30 in the morning, and they close after that, even later on the weekends. So I think that's a tribute probably to the crazy years, the Roaring Twenties, when Montparnasse was really the cultural center of Paris, definitely, big party place. But like I said, you have those authentic vibes, the wooden chairs, the banquette, as we say, where people sit here, the mirrors. I'm just going to walk you through it. Now, a long, long time ago, this was a place where people came to drink mostly. They came here to drink, not so much to eat. And when they served food at the beginning, the food wasn't that great. But the family who's owned the Select for 40 years has changed all that. They have a chef who's very creative, who's put a really nice creative spin on a lot of French classics. Maybe we'll take a look at a menu in a little while. And so people can come here now and enjoy delicious food and a wonderful time with friends. I've sat at that table many times between my trips. We are right next to La Gare Montparnasse, the Montparnasse train station. So it's very convenient, of course. And one of the coveted spots is, of course, La Terrasse. Oop. La Terrasse right here, because everybody wants to be where the light is up there, you see. You have this verrière or glass ceiling, and then you can just kind of sit here and this is very coveted, this section, whether you come throughout the day or in the evenings for a drink. And you have, look at this organization here, the napkins, of course, your salt and pepper shakers, everything is here, the glasses ready to go. The waiters are dressed like Parisian waiters should be dressed, impeccably. Service is professional, as you might expect, very attentive and very friendly, which doesn't hurt, especially in Paris. So if you come to the Select, I recommend the hot chocolate, which is delicious. They also have lovely drinks, of course. And the food is not too bad. And in fact, for such a popular neighborhood right in the heart of Paris, we are in the popular section of the 14th arrondissement. You have prefix meals at lunchtime at 27 euros per person with two courses, a glass of wine or some mineral water, and a coffee, which, as you know, is a shot of espresso. So that is a very good price, and that is offered throughout the week. In the evenings, the formula prefix meal is at 49 euros with three courses, very nice dishes as well. And it's offered including on the weekends. It's a cute little dog over there. In fact, here, nobody's here. Let's just look at, I'm going to sit here and we're going to take a look at the menu, see what we have. So the menu is going to, maybe I should do this, let's see. The menu is going to start with some drinks, a lot of them. So to see the world goes by, this is great for people watching Parisian life. You have drinks at the beginning of the menu, wine offered au verre, which is by the glass, more alcohol. You know, a lot of artists, as I said, were here, and during the Roaring Twenties and after, you had people like, of course, Ernest Hemingway. You also had Francis Scott Fitzgerald and many of them. And Hemingway used to go to pretty much all the bars in Paris, so he's been here. And in fact, the Select got a mention in one of his novels. So here you have the entrée, which is a lot of classics like les œufs mimosa, deviled eggs, frisé au lardon, a salad with bacon. What else do we have? I see salade gourmande. I love those salads in France. Those are very hearty salads with a lot of things in them. lots of things. Incontournable, the word in red here means something you should not miss. And of course, you have your onion soup gratiné. And that you probably know the soup was born in Les Halles when the covered food market was still there. Back in the day, before they tore it down in the 70s, that's what the workers of Les Halles used to eat in the morning or through the night. You also have a club sandwich, a croque madame, which is a grilled ham and cheese sandwich with a fried egg on top. You do have one burger, which is not a whole lot. And here is this formule I was telling you about, this prefix meal at lunchtime, served between noon and 3:30. So those are pretty generous hours. 2 courses, and then you have a few options, a selection. Of course, you have l'ardoise, which is the day's selection with the chef's suggestions, which here are mentioned in green, and those are oysters, pasta, ravioli, and the tête de veau de l'Aveyron. You see where it says tête de veau de l'Aveyron? This is a bit of an acquired taste, but l'Aveyron is a region in France where the current manager's family is from. In fact, his grandfather bought the Select many, many years ago with his grandmother. And his grandfather came from the Aveyron region in the center of France. His grandmother came from the Haute-Savoie. And they created this business and ran quite a few others, in fact, in Paris and even in this neighborhood. So it really is a family business. You have poisson, the fish selection, the sole, cod, the quenelle. Some specialties will remind you of the food you can have in places like Lyon. You have the côte bouchée, so this is all your beef and meat selection. Everything, like I said, is cooked on site. The confit de canard, when they have confit de canard, duck confit, is they make that on site as well. Their famous demi-poulet fermier, so the lovely chicken which is presented in a beautiful little dish with in its own juices with petits pois et carottes, which are green peas and carrots. There's a pasta and risotto selection. There is a cheese, of course, and desserts. And you know, the French at home tend to have cheese before dessert, but here in the restaurants, very often you'll see the cheese mentioned in the dessert menu. And you have quite a few things. And you can see the tarte citron, the lemon tart, tarte tatin, this inverted caramelized apple tart, some crepes, the baba au rhum, the rum baba. All the classics are here. But in terms of the taste and the presentation, I think it's safe to say the chef is very creative and does a beautiful job. And of course, here you have this café gourmand. You see it here. The café gourmand comes with 4 mignardises. So an espresso, shot of espresso, that comes with 4 bite-sized desserts. And the desserts, I've seen them, are lovely, and they are made on site as well. Thé gourmand, if you don't like coffee, you can have the same thing with tea. So you can see you will not go starving at the Select, that's for sure. And you will treat yourself to a lovely slice of Parisian life in what I would consider a local landmark, where 70 to 80% of the clientele is probably French, a lot of them locals, and they attract all sorts of people. Like many cafes in the 6th or the 14th arrondissement, you do have also a literary crowd. You'll see people who come here to write. In fact, published authors as well. And then you'll see some stars, some French movie stars. I hear that Catherine Deneuve is a regular. And it's just a mix, really. It's a bunch of locals, and you can tell right away as soon as you sit down at the Select. So if you want to step away from the very touristy parts of Paris, where you are surrounded by a lot of international visitors and maybe not so much by locals, I think it's kind of nice to come here and still get a feel for what it must have been like to have fun and to live in the 14th arrondissement in Montparnasse, in the Montparnasse area at the Select. I want to show you one last thing before I go. As I said, there have been very famous people here over the years. Est-ce que je pourrais filmer le petit chat qui est derrière vous?
Vous faites un reportage?
Oui, je suis désolée de vous déranger. Je ne vous filme pas. Le chat, le chat, ne vous inquiétez pas. Merci, madame. Merci beaucoup. Merci, madame. Donc, ce chat, this is a cat known as Mickey. And Mickey was a celebrity here. He lived at a restaurant next door. And when the owners of the restaurant moved away and sold the business, he adopted the Select and lived a very long, happy life, roaming the streets and making friends for 22 years. And he developed quite the following. So they have a photo of Mickey here. And of course, they have this as a tribute to Monsieur Mickey. Voila. I wanted you to see this. The beautiful bar, you'll notice it's not necessarily a zinc or a pewter countertop like so many of the neo bistros and cafes do. It's very different now. This is the original countertop. It's very pretty here at the Select. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have questions, leave them in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer them if I can. And I'll share some photos as well. À bientôt, mes amis, and thank you so much to the team at the Select. It was lovely to meet them and to get to know this iconic place in Montparnasse. Au revoir.